here in Washington. Former special counsel Jack Smith is testifying behind closed doors to a GOP-led committee investigating his investigation of Donald Trump during his time out of power. Smith is rejecting President Trump's allegations that he was out to get him.
Jack Smith just dropped an absolutely devastating bombshell that has Trump panicking right now. The special counsel who investigated Trump for years just testified before Congress for 8 hours. 8 hours under oath. And what he said is going to haunt Trump for the rest of his presidency. On December 17th, Jack Smith sat down for a closed-door deposition with the House Judiciary Committee, and the transcript just got released on New Year's Eve. And in that testimony, Smith said something that destroys Trump's entire defense. Quote, "January 6th does not occur without Trump. He caused it. He exploited it." End quote. Let that sink in. The guy who spent years investigating Trump, who had access to all the evidence, all the witnesses, all the testimony, he's saying under oath that the Capitol attack doesn't happen without Donald Trump. Not that Trump was involved, not that Trump had a role, that it literally does not happen without him. That's about as direct as you can get. And it gets worse. Smith's testimony revealed that Trump privately admitted he lost the 2020 election. Behind closed doors, Trump was telling people, "Yeah, I lost." But then he went out in public and told his supporters the election was stolen. He pushed lies to state legislators. He pressured election officials. He organized the whole January 6th rally knowing full well that he'd actually lost. But real quick, before we get into this, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built John Brown Show, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, please subscribe, because you might think you are but aren't. Your subscription actually matters here. All right, let's get into what actually happened. Jack Smith was subpoenaed by the House Judiciary Committee back in December. And once Smith closed his investigations after Trump won the election because of DOJ policy that you can't indict a sitting president, Congress said, okay, if you're not prosecuting, we need to hear what you found. So they brought him in for a deposition. 8 hours. That's how long Smith testified. And according to multiple sources, he spent that entire time defending every aspect of his investigations. Not just the January 6th stuff, also the classified documents case. He walked through the evidence, he explained his legal reasoning, and he made it crystal clear that these investigations weren't political. They were based on crimes. Now let me bring the receipts on what Smith actually said, the bombshell quote, reading directly from the transcript. "The January 6th attack does not occur without Donald Trump. He was the person who caused it. He was the person who exploited it." That's not vague. That's not open to interpretation. Smith is saying Trump is directly responsible for what happened at the Capitol. But it gets more specific. Smith testified that Trump knew the election fraud claims were false. How does Smith know this? Because he has testimony from people Trump talked to privately. According to Smith's evidence, Trump admitted to multiple people, including White House staff, family members, and advisors, that he lost the election. He said it out loud to other people, but then Trump went out and told the public something different. He told his supporters the election was stolen. He told state legislators there was massive fraud. He told election officials they needed to find votes. He organized rallies where he repeated these lies over and over, and all of this was while knowing, privately admitting, that he'd actually lost. Think about what that means. That's fraud. Like, legally speaking, that's fraud. When you knowingly make false statements to get people to do something, in this case to pressure officials and storm the Capitol, that's criminal fraud. Share this video with everyone you know, because Smith also talked about the fake elector scheme. For people who don't know, after the 2020 election, Trump's team organized fake slates of electors in 7 states. These were people who claimed to be the official electors even though Biden won those states. The plan was to create confusion on January 6th so that Mike Pence could reject the real electors and accept the fake ones. Now, Trump's defenders have always said this was just exploring legal options, just challenging the results through official channels. But Smith's testimony destroys that narrative, because according to Smith, he has testimony from one of the Republican electors involved in the scheme. And that elector said, direct quote, "The plan was to overthrow the government illegally. Overthrow the government illegally." Those are the words used by someone on Trump's own team. Not challenge the results, not exercise our constitutional rights. Overthrow the government illegally. Notice what that reveals. This person said this during the planning stages, meaning they knew from the beginning that what they were doing was an illegal coup attempt. Smith testified that he has this on tape, he has documents, he has corroborating testimony from multiple people. This isn't some random accusation, this is evidence that Trump's fake elector scheme was, by the admission of his own people, an attempt to illegally overthrow the government. Now let's talk about January 6th itself. Smith walked through the timeline of that day in his testimony. He showed how Trump's speech at the Ellipse, the Fight Like Hell speech, was deliberately designed to send his supporters to the Capitol. He showed how Trump refused to call off the mob even as the violence was happening. He showed how Trump praised the rioters even after they'd been cleared out. But here's what's really damaging. Smith testified that Trump had been planning for January 6th for weeks. It wasn't spontaneous, it wasn't just a rally that got out of hand. Trump knew his supporters were coming, he knew they were angry, he knew many of them were armed, and he still told them to march to the Capitol and fight like hell, or you're not going to have a country anymore. Make sure you're subscribed to John Brown's show because Smith also revealed that he has testimony from Mark Meadows, Trump's chief of staff. Meadows got immunity to testify, which means he couldn't be prosecuted for what he said. And according to Smith, Meadows confirmed that Trump knew the election fraud claims were false. Meadows also testified about conversations where Trump discussed using January 6th as a way to pressure Pence and Congress. This is huge because Meadows was Trump's right-hand man. He was in every meeting. He heard every conversation. And if he's testifying that Trump knew the claims were false and planned to use January 6th as leverage, that's game over. That's the smoking gun. Smith also addressed the immunity ruling from the Supreme Court. You know, the one that basically said presidents have broad immunity for official acts. Smith testified that even with that ruling, the evidence against Trump is overwhelming. Because a lot of what Trump did, the fake elector scheme, the pressure campaign on state officials, organizing the January 6th rally, those aren't official acts. Those are campaign activities. And presidents don't have immunity for campaign activities. So Smith's argument is that yes, the Supreme Court made prosecution harder, but it didn't make it impossible. And more importantly, the evidence is still there. The crime still happened, and just because Trump can't be prosecuted right now doesn't mean he should get away with it politically. Share this with everyone because the testimony also revealed new details about the classified documents case. Smith testified that Trump personally ordered the movement of classified documents to Mar-a-Lago. He personally went through boxes. He personally decided what to keep and what to return. And when the government asked for the documents back, Trump personally obstructed the investigation by telling his lawyers to lie and hide evidence. Now, the DOJ dropped that case too because of the immunity ruling and the sitting president policy. But Smith made it clear in his testimony that the evidence was rock solid. He had Trump on tape. He had witnesses. He had documents showing Trump's personal involvement in the obstruction. It was, in Smith's words, one of the clearest cases of obstruction I've seen in my career. Think about why all of this matters right now. Because Smith's testimony gives Congress everything they need to impeach Trump again. Remember, impeachment isn't a criminal process. It's a political process. You don't need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. You just need to show that the president committed high crimes and misdemeanors. And Smith just handed them a roadmap with evidence. H.Res. 939, that resolution calling for Trump's resignation, it cites obstruction of justice as one of the charges. Well, Smith just spent 8 hours detailing exactly how Trump obstructed justice in multiple investigations. The January 6th investigation, the classified documents case, it's a pattern. And patterns are what you use to prove intent. Notice what position this puts Republicans in. They can't just dismiss Smith as a partisan hack. He's a lifelong prosecutor. He's worked under Republican and Democratic administrations. He's got decades of experience. And he testified under oath with evidence. So if Republicans try to defend Trump, they're essentially saying they don't believe sworn testimony from a respected prosecutor backed up by documentary evidence. And with Trump's approval rating at 36%, with over 120 members of Congress already calling for resignation, with the 2026 midterms coming up where history says the president's party loses seats, Republicans are doing the math. And the math says sticking with Trump is political suicide. Make sure you stay subscribed, because here's what Trump's response has been. He's absolutely losing it on Truth Social, calling Smith a deranged lunatic, saying this is all part of a witch hunt. But here's the problem. Smith testified under oath, under penalty of perjury, and he brought receipts. He's got witness testimony, he's got documents, he's got Trump's own words on tape admitting he lost the election. This isn't a he said, she said situation anymore. This is a federal prosecutor with evidence saying the president orchestrated an attack on democracy because he didn't want to give up power. Now let me walk you through what Smith's testimony destroys about Trump's defense. For years, Trump has said the investigations were all political, deep state, partisan prosecutors out to get him. But Smith testified for 8 hours explaining the evidence, the legal reasoning, and the basis for every charge. And he did it under oath, meaning if he lied, he goes to jail for perjury. So when Trump calls this a witch hunt now, he's not just disagreeing with prosecutors, he's calling sworn testimony false. And that's a much harder sell, because Smith brought receipts. He's got witness testimony from Republicans, he's got Trump on tape, he's got documents. This isn't speculation or theory, this is evidence. And the fact that Smith specifically said January 6th does not occur without Trump, that's not legal jargon. That's not prosecutorial hedging. That's a direct statement of causation. Smith is saying Trump is responsible, period. Share this video because here's what this means for the historical record. 50 years from now, when people study this period, they're going to see the lead investigator saying under oath that the president caused an attack on the Capitol. That matters. That's Trump's legacy now, and Smith's testimony cements it. Think about what this gives Democrats. Smith's testimony lays out multiple impeachable offenses. The fake elector scheme, that's conspiracy to defraud the United States. The pressure campaign on state officials, that's abuse of power. The January 6th speech and refusal to stop the riot, that's incitement and dereliction of duty. The obstruction in the classified documents case, that's obstruction of justice. Smith detailed all of it with evidence. So now when Democrats introduce articles of impeachment, and they will if they take back the House in 2026, they can literally just copy and paste from Smith's testimony. They don't need to do their own investigation. Smith already did it. He spent 2 years investigating with unlimited resources and grand jury power. All the work is done. Notice what Speaker Mike Johnson said. If Democrats win the House, Trump faces a third impeachment. Well, Smith's testimony basically guarantees that happens because Democrats would be crazy not to use this evidence. It's gift-wrapped. It's under oath. It's from a respected prosecutor. It's perfect for their purposes. Now, here's where this splits the Republican Party even further. Republicans have to choose. Do they defend Trump against sworn testimony from Jack Smith, or do they distance themselves and try to save their own political careers? Some Republicans are going to stick with Trump no matter what. The die-hard MAGA base isn't going anywhere. They'll say Smith is lying, the evidence is fake, it's all a conspiracy. But the Republicans in competitive districts, the ones who barely won last time, they can't afford to defend Trump on this. It's too toxic. Imagine being a Republican in a purple district. Your Democratic opponent is going to run ads saying Congressman Smith defended Trump even after Jack Smith testified under oath that Trump caused January 6th. That's a devastating ad. That's the kind of thing that loses elections. So what do? You distance yourself. You say you're focused on local issues. You skip Trump's rallies. You quietly tell voters you think the testimony is concerning. This is exactly what happened with Nixon. Once Republicans started breaking ranks, the dam broke. And we're seeing the early stages of that now. Over 120 members of Congress calling for resignation. Republicans refusing to defend Trump on TV. Donors quietly pulling back. It's a slow-motion collapse. And here's what the evidence preservation means. Even though Trump can't be prosecuted while he's president, Smith's testimony ensures that all the evidence is on the record. The witnesses are identified, the documents are cataloged, the testimony is transcribed. So when Trump leaves office in 2029, or earlier if he resigns or gets removed, prosecutors can pick up right where Smith left off. And that matters because statutes of limitations are ticking. Most federal crimes have a 5-year statute of limitations. The January 6th stuff happened in 2021, so the clock is running. But Smith's testimony preserves everything. It's like putting the case in a time capsule. Future prosecutors don't have to start from scratch. They can just use Smith's work. Think about what Smith said about Trump's knowledge. Trump knew the election fraud claims were false. He admitted privately that he lost, but then he went out and lied to the public. That's consciousness of guilt. That's premeditation. That's exactly what prosecutors dream about when they're building a case. You can't claim you believe the claims when you privately admitted they were false. You can't say you were just exercising your rights when you knew you were lying. Share this with everyone because here's what the fake elector testimony reveals. One of Trump's own Republican electors said the plan was to overthrow the government illegally, not challenge results legally, overthrow the government illegally. That person knew it was a coup attempt, and they did it anyway because Trump told them to. That's conspiracy. That's sedition. That's exactly what the impeachment articles charge. Now let's talk about what happens next. In the short term, expect this testimony to dominate the news cycle. Democrats are going to use it in every interview, every speech, every campaign ad. They're going to hammer Republicans with it. Do you believe Jack Smith's sworn testimony? Yes or no? That's the question every Republican's going to get asked. Republicans are going to try to discredit Smith. They'll say he's biased, he's political, he's a Democrat tool. But that's a tough sell when Smith has evidence and testified under oath. The congressional revolt is going to grow. More Republicans are going to sign on to resolutions calling for Trump's resignation, not because they suddenly grew a spine, but because they're reading the polls and they know they're going to lose in 2026 if they stick with Trump. Trump's going to keep fighting. He'll post on Truth Social. He'll hold rallies. He'll call everyone traitors. But his power is fading. When your approval rating is 36% and the special counsel just testified that you caused an insurrection, you're not in a strong position. The 2026 midterms are shaping up to be a bloodbath for Republicans. Democrats are going to run on Trump's corruption and Smith's testimony about January 6th. They're going to tie every Republican to Trump and make them answer for his crimes. And based on historical patterns and current polling, Democrats are going to win big. The bottom line is this: Trump panics as Jack Smith testifies against him with 8 hours of sworn testimony destroying Trump's defense. Smith testified December 17th before House Judiciary Committee. Transcript released New Year's Eve. Smith said under oath, January 6th does not occur without Trump. He caused it. He exploited it. Direct statement of causation. Trump is responsible. Smith testified Trump knew election fraud claims were false. Trump admitted privately he lost, then went public lying about stolen election. That's fraud. Knowingly making false statements to get people to pressure officials and storm Capitol. Smith has testimony from people Trump talked to privately. White House staff, family members, advisors, all confirming Trump admitted he lost, but told public something different. Smith detailed fake elector scheme. Has testimony from Republican electors saying plan was to overthrow government illegally. Trump's own team admitting it was coup attempt, not legal challenge, illegal overthrow. Smith has this on tape, has documents, has corroborating testimony. Smith walked through January 6th timeline. Trump's speech deliberately designed to send supporters to Capitol. Trump refused to call off mob during violence. Trump praised rioters after. Smith testified Trump planned January 6th for weeks. Not spontaneous. Knew supporters coming, knew they were angry, knew many were armed, still told them march to Capitol and fight like hell. Smith has testimony from Mark Meadows. Chief of Staff got immunity. Confirmed Trump knew fraud claims false. Testified about Trump planning to use January 6th as leverage against Pence and Congress. Meadows was in every meeting, heard every conversation. His testimony is smoking gun. Smith addressed immunity ruling, said even with Supreme Court decision evidence overwhelming. Fake elector scheme, not official act. Pressure campaign, not official. January 6th rally, not official. Those are campaign activities. No immunity for campaign activities. Evidence still exists. Crime still happened. Can't be prosecuted now, but shouldn't get away politically. Smith detailed classified documents case. Trump personally ordered movement to Mar-a-Lago, personally went through boxes, personally decided what to keep, personally obstructed by telling lawyers to lie and hide evidence. Smith said rock-solid evidence, Trump on tape, witnesses, documents, one of clearest obstruction cases ever. Smith's testimony gives Congress everything for impeachment. H. Resin 939 cites obstruction. Smith detailed exactly how Trump obstructed, pattern across multiple investigations, proves intent. Republicans can't dismiss Smith as partisan. Lifelong prosecutor, worked under both parties, decades of experience, testified under oath with evidence. Defending Trump means not believing sworn testimony backed by evidence. Trump approval at 36%, over 120 Congress members calling resignation. 2026 midterms coming. Republicans doing math. Sticking with Trump is political suicide. Trump losing it on Truth Social, calling Smith deranged lunatic. Witch hunt. But Smith testified under oath. Penalty of perjury. Has receipts. Witness testimony. Documents. Trump on tape admitting loss. Not he said, she said. Federal prosecutor with evidence saying president orchestrated attack on democracy. Smith's testimony destroys witch hunt defense. Can't call sworn testimony false without proof. Smith said January 6th doesn't happen without Trump. Direct causation. Trump responsible. Period. Historical record set. 50 years from now, this is Trump's legacy. President who caused Capitol attack. Democrats get roadmap for impeachment. Fake elector scheme conspiracy. Pressure campaign abuse of power. January 6th incitement. Documents obstruction. All detailed with evidence. Democrats take House in 2026, they impeach. Third impeachment, unprecedented. Smith did all investigation work. 2 years, unlimited resources, grand jury power, work is done. Republicans in competitive districts can't defend this. Too toxic. Ads saying defended Trump after Smith testified. Devastating. Republicans will distance, skip rallies, say testimony concerning, like Nixon. Republicans breaking ranks, dam breaking. Over 120 calling resignation, refusing to defend on TV, donors pulling back, slow motion collapse, evidence preserved for future prosecution, witnesses identified, documents cataloged, testimony transcribed. Trump leaves office 2029, prosecutors pick up where Smith left. Statutes of limitations ticking. 5 years for federal crimes. January 6th was 2021, clock running. Smith's testimony preserves everything. Time capsule for future prosecutors. Trump knew claims false. Admitted privately. Lied publicly. Consciousness of guilt. Premeditation. Can't claim believed it when privately admitted false. Republican elector said overthrow government illegally. Knew it was coup. Did it because Trump told them. Conspiracy. Sedition. What impeachment charges? This story continues. Stay tuned.